The movie begins with Ethan overwhelmed by memories. It feels like everything he loved is now gone, and he can't survive in the modern world. Deciding to end his suffering once and for all, he does something unthinkable. Not long before these events, Ethan and his girlfriend Emma became victims of a problem that took over the world. Humanity is on the brink of survival due to a new virus that causes constant thirst and headaches. The virus comes from nature, and there is no cure for it, throwing the world into panic. It seems like nature itself has decided to heal by getting rid of people who have ruthlessly used its resources. Ethan and Emma hope to hide in a cabin by the river and wait until things calm down. But at some point, Ethan loses control of the car, and they get into an accident. In the morning, Ethan wakes up in the bloody car and sees that his girlfriend is gone. Seeing a cast on his arm with a red heart and Emma's name, Ethan starts looking for her, but it seems there isn't a single soul around. He is alone in a post-apocalyptic world filled with chaos and destruction. Ethan searches nearby houses and abandoned buildings, but finds no one. It looks like he's the only one left alive. But then an old pickup truck arrives at the building. Ethan asks for help, but two armed strangers are not friendly and start shooting. Suddenly, someone sitting in a window of one of the buildings shoots back, killing the driver and wounding the other hunter. Moments later, a woman with scars on her face arrives at the scene. She's the one who saved Ethan, but only so she could take the hunter's truck. After checking the car, she asks Ethan to help her move the wounded man's body to the truck's trailer. She introduces herself as May, and Ethan agrees to help but loses consciousness in the process. He is haunted by memories of his girlfriend and wants to find her at any cost. Struggling to remember even his own name, his only goal is to find Emma and be with her. Waking up in an old woman's house, Ethan gets to know her better. May has set up her home to survive in a post-apocalyptic world. She has solar panels and a power generator connected to an exercise bike, but the equipment often breaks down. Ethan used to work as a mechanic and knows a lot about machines, so he helps repair the generator when it breaks again. Suffering from amnesia, Ethan is reminded by May that the world has fallen into chaos. The virus doesn't just kill people, but it also turns them into part of nature, creating monsters like her living scarecrow. Returning to the house, May decides to test Ethan's trustworthiness. She gives him her gun and tells him to pull the trigger, but Ethan doesn't do it. May admits it was a test because the gun was on safety and would have hurt him if he had fired it. After dinner, Ethan thanks May for her help, but says he needs to go find his missing girlfriend. May asks him to stay a little longer, saying he could be useful around the house. Ethan agrees and pedals the bike to generate electricity. Then May invites him to dance and seems to flirt with the much younger man. A little later, they play cards and Ethan realizes that he is completely inept at lying. Close to midnight, Ethan remembers his mission, but May suggests postponing his search for Emma until morning, as it's too dangerous at night. Ignoring her warnings, Ethan steals the pickup and heads to the cabin by the lake. On the way, memories of Emma flood back, and he passes out. When he wakes up, he reaches the old house and breaks in, hoping Emma found shelter and waited for him. Inside, Ethan meets a frightened woman and her child. Jolene and Sam have been hiding there for weeks and haven't seen Emma, so they can't help him. At that moment, a terrifying wooden monster bursts into the house, attacking Ethan and the single mother. Together, they fend off the man who mutated into a beast because of the virus. These mutants are hard to hurt and almost impossible to kill. After putting Sam to bed, Jolene talks to Ethan to learn his story. Emma was a nurse, and they were among the first to learn about the virus and its natural origin. Knowing there was no cure, they decided to hide in the cabin by the river, but they had the accident. In the morning, Ethan couldn't find Emma and hoped she came here, but now it's clear she didn't. Waking up from nightmares, Ethan finds Jolene's body mutating. The whole house is covered in blood, but he doesn't remember what happened during the night. Running outside, he sees a monster eating Sam. Ethan starts panicking, but the monster suddenly vanishes. The mutated woman attacks him from behind, but May shoots her. May had followed Ethan to save him. Ethan doesn't remember May and reintroduces himself, once again telling her about Emma in his desire to find her. In a birdhouse, Ethan finds a cell phone with a video message from Emma, but the battery is too low to watch it to the end. May suggests they return to her house to charge the phone so Ethan can hear Emma's message. Trusting her, Ethan agrees and tries to get to know her better. On the way home, he notices an old store and gas station and realizes he has been there before. At the beginning of the epidemic, he and Emma stopped there to fill up the car, but were attacked by an infected man. To save Emma, Ethan fired several shots, but the bullets didn't kill the monster. In the present, Ethan collapses from dizziness, dropping and breaking the phone. Returning to the house, May sees that someone has tried to break in. Realizing they aren't alone, she demands that the intruder come out, or she'll shoot. The lost stranger turns out to be Tom, a man looking for his missing wife. Agreeing to follow May's orders, Tom gives her his gun and promises to help with chores in exchange for food. While May heads to the kitchen to cook dinner, Tom and Ethan prepare firewood for the winter. At one point, Tom leaves for the restroom, but it's just an excuse to retrieve a revolver he hid nearby. After finishing their work, Ethan and Tom return to the house for dinner. May insists Ethan not eat the food as it's not safe. Soon after, Ethan loses consciousness and collapses. Tom realizes that May is holding him hostage and threatens her, but suddenly his head begins to spin. May admits she suspected Tom couldn't be trusted and drugged his food. Taking advantage of his dizziness, May strikes him. Later that night, Tom's allies break into the house, revive him, and take May hostage. They find a syringe and assume it's poison she wanted to use on Tom. The men threaten Ethan, but May doesn't care about him since he's just a random stranger she's willing to let die without regret. Tom searches the house hoping to find proof that his wife was there. He suspects May traps people, so the three men split up. One man keeps an eye on May while Tom searches the upstairs and finds items belonging to different people, including his wife's necklace. Meanwhile, Wolf searches the barn and finds the wounded hunter. He hurries back to the house to report this but triggers a trap, setting off a deadly device. Ethan helps Tom, and among the items he finds Emma's pendant, which makes him suspect May of kidnapping people. Threatening May with a gun, Ethan interrogates her and learns that Emma has been dead for a long time. Hearing their conversation, Tom discovers that Ethan has amnesia and begins to suspect him. He points out Ethan's broken arm and asks how long he's been wearing the cast. Eventually, May has to admit that Ethan isn't sick, as Tom believes, but dead, and has been for a while. In shock, Ethan starts remembering the past few days. He realizes it was him who attacked Jolene and her child. As a walking corpse, he ate them alive, but his amnesia made him forget quickly. Tom decides to kill both Ethan and May, but uses May's gun. As soon as he pulls the trigger, a trap activates, injuring Tom's hand. Ethan smells the blood, loses control, attacks Tom, and eats him. May isn't worried about what happened because Ethan's amnesia will make him forget everything by morning. The next day, Ethan wakes up in May's house and reintroduces himself. Trusting her, he agrees to go hunting for deer, but asks for help finding his missing girlfriend. In the forest, Ethan looks at the cast on his arm and sees Emma's name in a green heart. Remembering the past, he realizes this is a lie, as the heart was read before. This inconsistency leads him deeper into his memories, and he finally recalls how he first arrived here. He and Emma found the cabin and met its owner, Kai. The man was very suspicious and asked the couple to strip to prove they weren't infected. Trusting the lost pair, Kai invited them for dinner and introduced them to his family. In the present, Ethan realizes May has been lying to him the whole time and asks her to tell the truth. Once again, he dives into his memories and remembers that he didn't manage to kill the monster at the gas station. The undead man attacked him and bit his arm, causing Ethan to soon turn into a monster. The only way to slow the spread of the virus was to constantly eat human flesh. Returning to memories of dinner at Kai's house, Ethan recalls feeling very ill. The family realized he was a monster, and Emma was gaining their trust to turn them into food for her boyfriend. Kai figured it out and wanted to kill them both, but it was too late. Ethan attacked Kai's family and his daughter, while Emma shot the man, receiving a few scars from broken dishes in the struggle. Ethan finally understands that Emma and May are the same person. His amnesia prevented him from realizing how much time had passed. For decades, she had been luring people into her trap, turning her house into a horrifying place to kill off the last remnants of humanity. May did everything to make sure Ethan had fresh meat every day. It was terrible, but she did it out of love because she didn't want to lose Ethan. Human flesh was the only thing stopping his full transformation into a monster. But this truth terrifies Ethan. Emma feels no guilt for what she's done because she loves Ethan and is willing to do anything for him. At first, they were a happy couple, but then she started aging, and his amnesia kept getting worse. At some point, Ethan stopped recognizing her, and she turned into a kind, elderly woman, helping him search for his missing love. After learning the whole truth, Ethan tries to end his life, but he is a monster, and bullets can't hurt him. Realizing their love is still strong, the couple kisses. They want to be together forever, and there's only one way to achieve that: by turning Emma into a monster. She is ready and allows Ethan to bite her, and the happy couple of monsters set off to hunt the last survivors of humanity.